Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Well, it's Larry Sonnenburg sitting in for Steve today, and I'm here with the one and only Christopher Williams.
It's good to be here with you. Actually, I'm not the one and only. I've met other Christopher Williamses in my life.
Well, to us, you're the one and only. And we expect Dr. Joe Hubbard to be floating in here in just a minute or two. But as we get going, I want to kill two birds with one stone. I want to seek your support right off the top. New Life needs help every month. We depend upon donations. It's budgeted. It's what we do. It's what you do. It's the help you give. And it makes a difference in people's lives. That's why we do it. And the thing that we are giving away as a thank you gift for anybody who gives these this month is a book called Understanding and Loving Your Child with ADHD. So I was talking to Chris just a little before here and said, let's talk about ADHD this first few minutes before we get our calls going. And by the way, call 800-229-3000. We got a few calls coming in. We could use a few more. We're going to be here for 2 hours. But ADHD, Steve, this book is really good because it talks about what it is and what it means to be diagnosed and what's the difference with ADD and how does it affect kids' everyday life. But what wisdom can you give to a parent who has a child with ADHD or ADHD symptoms?
Well, I think a lot of times behaviorally it can show up as kind of a pain or even a curse. But I think underneath that there's a tremendous gift to it. I often talk about ADHD as being a fast and furious brain. And so there's a great side to that. Typically people with ADHD can process information very quickly and they can learn things very quickly, and oftentimes that's what causes them to be bored so quickly as well.
Okay.
And as the body is ramped up, also I think it's important to understand that there are other things that can be going on that drive ADHD. I see a lot of times that anxiety and ADHD go together. Trauma and ADHD go together really well. But I think, Larry, the really important thing, and what's important for parents if you think you have a child, is to get the book, because you need to understand that ADHD shows up in many different ways. It's a very, very broad spectrum of a disorder. And so, for instance, my type is ADD, which is attention deficit disorder. I have what's called inattention type.
Okay.
And so that is, I can, in fact, when I'm at a studying, in fact, inattention right now, trying to think of it. So if I'm studying or if I'm writing or if I'm having something that requires concentration, I need some sort of white noise. I need background noise to occupy a certain part of my brain that is constantly on all the time.
How would you, quickly, could you tell the difference between ADD and ADHD? What's the main thing?
Yeah, if I have ADD, it's that I'll be walking to the kitchen and forget why I went there. It's your thoughts fall off a cliff and it's hard to get them back, and that can happen often.
You're scaring me. I've got it.
Yes, we all do, right? The other aspect of that is that the hyperactivity part is that just comes with a ton of energy and a lot of impulsivity, a lot of impulsive behaviors and decisions. Yeah.
Okay, I know some kids like that.
Yes.
In fact, I'm going to see some this weekend. Uh-oh. But, folks, we're glad you're here, and we're looking forward to answering your calls. I know Dr. Jill has rolled in. She'll be in right after the break to take some of the tough questions with Chris. But you're listening to New Life Live. We love what we do. We want to help you. And if you have a question about any subject, ADD, ADHD, anything, give us a call, and we'll be right back after this. Thanks.
it had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. The New Life Every Man's Battle online workshop can help.
After 7 years, he just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
The Every Man's Battle workshop is being held online as a one-day event Saturday, August 7th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Okay, we are back, and we are going to go right to the phones. We're going to talk to Kelly. Kelly's in New York City, listens on WHAZ. Hello, Kelly. How can we help you?
Yeah, I have a question about growing up in a home where I believe my parents were codependent. They weren't drinking, but I came from that last generation was drinking. And the codependency that I have is like problem with me in a relationship with a man. And I'm 56, I've been single all of my life. And I was wondering, my father just died during COVID, just last year, a year ago. I'm just questioning whether where do I meet these normal, healthy men, and how do you know they're healthy? And I've always been alone. I've been alone all my life. And I just wondered where you meet healthy people. I'm a Christian. I've been a Christian. I'm a smart girl. I just don't know where you meet healthy, and how do you have to go through tons of men to find healthy?
Well, Jill's the best subject on this. So help us out.
Yes. So I'm sorry, Kelly, that you have felt alone most of your life. And we all have some form of dysfunction. Mm-hmm. None of us have perfect parents. And so what's important, though, is knowing what that dysfunction is so that you can intentionally do something different. Where do you find healthy men?
I've been through so much therapy.
Okay, good.
Go ahead.
Good.
I've been through so much early therapy.
Well,
Therapy. It's not great. It's insane.
Okay, well...
when you want to identify my parents, my mother was a passive, and my father was a rageaholic.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, the more work we do on ourselves, we usually attract people at the level we're at, emotionally. Okay, so the work you're doing on yourself, on your childhood, all of that is good. And so you're going to be attracted, hopefully, to different. If you're not, if you keep picking the same type of person, there's a blind spot there. Something that you haven't dealt with, haven't resolved, are not looking at. And so it's important to get a lot of feedback on that. Where are the healthy men? Nobody wears a label saying, I am a healthy man.
And if they do, watch out.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. When they tell you how healthy they are, that's a red flag. So
right.
I
in
think...
New York State, we're loaded with people, and you would think that I wouldn't be alone in the middle of the state of New York. It's loaded with people here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so also look at how do you avoid or push people away? What are the fears that you have that become obstacles?
Sure. Okay, good.
Right?
Yeah,
also, trust.
I do that. Well, I have them.
Okay. Well, you have to look at how you're contributing to this. It's not just that there are no healthy men. You're contributing to it in some way. Also, trust that inner voice. Mm-hmm. If you've done enough work on yourself, if something feels a little bit off, listen to that. And check that out and ask yourself, is this just me and my avoidance and I'm throwing up a roadblock again, or is there something here?
Chris, what do you have?
Yeah. It's just, I'm just saying after many lonely years, you feel safe now. I feel safe.
It becomes...
I want to get out of that comfort zone.
Yes, absolutely.
I get it.
So I think, Kelly, too, don't start with dating. Start with friendship. And I would have friendship
Okay, I
with
think
other.
That's safer. It's safer, yeah.
Yeah,
Safer.
find other healthy women. That's how you're going to find other healthy men. The healthy men are with healthy women,
Right.
right?
Right.
And-
I
and-
mean, I love all of my friends' husbands.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
They're great, and they're really safe because
Yeah,
they're married.
They're married, and they work on themselves, and they
Yeah.
and their health shows up. Here's what's hard: is that health shows up over time. Again, it doesn't declare itself with a megaphone. Otherwise, it's something
Right.
else called pride.
And I ended up with rheumatoid. You know, rheumatoid is a nasty little disease that no one
Yeah.
wants to know about.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it can be a resentful disease. It can be unforgiveness toward my own self. My mother was, I don't know, you know, my mother was a bit of a spacey cloud. She really didn't deal with her own. I don't know. She died with guilt.
Well,
So
Kelly-
Kelly,
not feeling her own
Kelly,
guilt.
sorry, Chris.
No, that's okay. Go for it.
Okay, I think perhaps you are one of these people that maybe has looked at your life so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering what you do to have fun. And to
I
be
didn't.
lighthearted. To be
I didn't
lighthearted.
even go to a prom.
To
I
be
don't even know what that is.
playful. I think adding some fun into your
I love
life,
children. Yeah.
one,
I love kids.
it
Love
makes
kids,
you-
animals. I love nature.
okay, are you listening? It makes you younger,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
When you learn a new activity, it helps your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do different things, you're now traveling in a different circle and you may meet people. And if you're just engaging with good people in things that you like, the best part of you will come out.
Well, and sometimes, and we contribute to the problem. And
Yes.
here's how we contribute.
I see.
We make growth too serious,
Yes.
right? We make it too like life and death and all these sort of things. And so what you're saying, Jill, I think I really appreciate. It's like bring some levity, bring some fun.
Yeah.
And because behind all of this, where's the healthy men? And I need to get healthy. There is this what I would call therapeutic legalism, right? And what I mean by that is like you have to.
Oh, wow. Good.
You
That's it.
you have to hit a particular standard of health to then be okay to be worthy of relationship, and that's a fool's errand.
Thank
because,
you.
Yeah, that's a
Yes.
fool's because none of us are going to get there, right? We're all in process, and really for me,
And I don't like it, but it's a cover-up. It's a cover-up. for me.
yes,
I'm
absolutely,
a bit of a cover-up for me.
yeah. So
I'm hurting inside deeply.
So here's three things. I'm gonna do a Club New Life thing on this a little bit later today. Here's three things I want you to be aware of, both in yourself and others. The first one is just self-awareness, and you have that in spades. You're great with self-awareness. The other one is
Yeah, I
humility.
know I do.
The other one is humility. I think humility and levity or being whimsical with it go hand in hand. We don't we are honest with ourselves, both our strengths and our weaknesses, but we don't take it too seriously, you know, unless what we're doing is causing harm. Then we start getting really serious about it. And then the last thing is growth. And you have that as well. And so, but you allow that growth and that grace to work together. And grace and humility really go well together. And so as you're on that journey, you're going to be looking for other people on that same journey. And then you have the foundation for a really strong relationship going forward. But I would just go back to the same thing. Whether you're with a man or not, Kelly, I don't want you to be lonely. So go get some friends.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I hear you there. It's been a rough one with the isolation.
Isolation is a
COVID
killer.
Totally. I lost my job, and I lost my job. I
Oh,
lost
man.
my father. I lost,
Oh.
you know, and it was one thing after the next. I got fired. I mean, during COVID, really? I mean, really?
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Right. So
it's
Kelly,
really
you
hard.
can drown in that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or you can push against that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of difficulties that are happening to a lot of people, but we have to fight against that,
Yeah.
right? To live.
Mm-hmm.
How about we send Kelly Take Your Life Back?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, Kelly, thank you for calling. Good call. Hope it helps. And before I go to the next caller, I want to remind everybody that Steve is filling in as a host for the Frank Sontag Show. And for you in L.A., that's 99.5 FM on KKLA in L.A. And it airs from 3 to 5 p.m. here in Pacific Time. If you are somewhere else around the country, you can listen in at kkla.com. So we're looking forward to that. Okay, I want to go talk to Ann. This one would be really good for you, Chris. You're going to like this call. Hello, Ann. Thank you for calling.
Hello.
How can we help you?
Well, thank you for taking my call. My husband is considering taking emotional freedom like online, and we're wondering if a person takes it, if he has to take it alone or if we can take it as a couple.
That's a great question.
You can both come, but
Yeah.
you need to be in different groups.
Yeah, because we split off into different groups. And so for this particular one, I want you guys to have freedom for the space of yourself without interference of the other person's opinion. Like, for instance, I don't want us to be talking about an anger problem and you nudging him and being like, are you getting this? And so, you get what I'm saying there?
See, I told you.
Classic.
Yeah.
Well, so does that mean then, like, that we would get, like, we only have one email address, so would we need, like, our laptop and our main computer, or would we need two email addresses, or?
I think you could sit and watch on one laptop.
Yeah.
But when you go to group, you have to have two different computers.
Do you guys have two computers or
Okay.
two devices? It could be a phone, anything that would have Zoom on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a laptop and a regular computer.
Okay.
Well, our heart is that you guys would attend regardless. Like, yes. So if you're together, absolutely. But yeah, we do our groups typically gender specific, and that's why we're gonna have you guys go into your group time separately. And I think again that gives you guys space to work on yourself without, your husband being like, "Hey, you listening to them talk about anxiety?"
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
listen
know.
more for the other
Yes.
person than ourselves. So
Yeah.
it's also so that you listen for yourself.
Yeah.
So maybe you ought to rent a
Absolutely. And
hotel
that's
room and
our
let him
goal.
listen at home.
Blue sunglasses and pink ones.
Yeah.
Well, so then when we register, would they, like, could I ask all those questions on how,
Yes.
how that
Yes.
happens?
Yeah, just call the 800 New Life number, and they'll help you out with all that.
Okay.
Well, and I
So
am.
I just want.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
1-800-639-5433. Whoever answers
Okay.
that phone should be equipped to answer all your questions.
And
Fantastic.
and brings up something I think is really important, and that is that she is in a marriage that they're working on growth together. As I was saying before, that's a sign of health. So it really, honestly, I shouldn't say it doesn't matter what problems we bring into the marriage. Of course it does.
Yeah.
But the bigger issue is, are we willing to work on it? Are we willing to do the work? And that's where the key to a successful relationship is.
Yeah. Are you willing to look at yourself?
Yes.
And then relate back and forth with your mate about that?
Yeah.
Okay, Ann?
Yeah, we are at that point. He's a good guy. Thank you so much for all your help.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling. Okay. We are going to go. Let's go take the question from another caller. We'll answer it after the break because we only have a couple of minutes here. And let's go to Lisa. Lisa's on line 5. Lisa from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, listens on the internet. Hello. How can we help you?
Yes, so I want to know if I should kind of push against what I perceive to be divisive, because my son is needing surgery, and I don't even know if my husband offered to pay some of the surgeon bill. He's visiting with the surgeon today. But my daughter calls my husband to tell him that she'll give him an update tomorrow at work. But then I stay home, so I was kind of like left out of the whole deal. Not to mention that when my son hurt his arm on Saturday, my husband took him to the hospital and, of course, waited outside. And my husband didn't even tell me, even though I was on the phone with him he didn't tell me that they ended up canceling, the activity that they had for Saturday. Actually, he was on a job. That's how he got hurt. And so my husband's like keeping information for me because it's just too much for him to share.
So Lisa, what's the question for us?
Should I push back against what I perceive to be divisive from my daughter's comment?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good question.
Yes.
And we will, as you hear the music, we'll get back to answering that question when we come back from the break.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Alrighty.
Okay, folks. We are doing Every Man's Battle this week on Saturday, one-day workshop. Call us, 800 New Life, and ask about it. It's really going to be good. Also, call us at 800-229-3000.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the New Life member thank you gift of the New Life Journal, 100 Days of Peace, 7 Ways to Choose Healing, Growth Has No Boundaries, a Restoration Bible, and a New Life grocery tote to hold it all. Plus, there are ongoing benefits, like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Okay, we're back. We are talking with Lisa, and Lisa has a communication issue, it appears to us, and we're going to address that. So which one do you want to go first?
All right, so Lisa, here's what I hear, is that information is being kept from you, and important information,
Yes.
and that is that hurts your feelings.
It's distressing.
Yeah, absolutely. So typically, it seems like your family is in a dance, and it's a dance around sensitive information. And usually, when we do that, it's because we're afraid of being controlled, or there's someone who feels controlling. Where does control show up?
Mm-hmm.
Where does control show up with you, your husband, your son, your daughter? Where does it show up?
I'm not sure how to answer that. You mean, how do I express control with them?
It could be.
It could be, or right. Who's the most controlling person in your family? Is there somebody that stands out in that way?
I think I would be. I was always the disciplinarian, but funny how my kids are like me somewhat. But when they're around their dad, they want to switch because he's from another culture.
Okay.
So do they feel like they need to cater to Dad, not oppose him?
Yeah, they want to be more like his side of the family.
Okay. So, Lisa, I think that thank you for that, because that's that's a very important and courageous admission on your part. It's like, man, I'm the one that kind of holds the control, and so especially as children grow up and get older, they resist control but seek connection, and so we can't really control a person and genuinely connect with them at the same time. And so if they feel like, hey, if I give this if I give this information, Mom is going to jump in and do a bunch of advice giving, or she's going to take over this situation, where I would just like to handle it on my own, or I would like to have my own opinions or own thoughts on this. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And so,
I don't know. You guys usually are.
But Lisa, I think that this is really important, because underneath control, its fuel is fear. What are you afraid of?
Me?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm afraid of being left out. Yeah.
There it is, right there. That is so critically important, is that, Lisa, you need to feel like you're a part of rather than a part from. And guess what? We all do, But the irony is, to control your way into being in the middle of it actually is counterproductive. It gets you, because people will resist that, and then you feel like you're kicked out all the time. And so we want to help you move into the center by being a safer person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like my husband won't even consult with me about having the COVID shot, because he said, "Oh, then you're going to ask me all kind of questions." But meanwhile, he doesn't have insurance to back up any follow-up that might be needed.
So, Lisa, what do you do, or how does it sit with you when people in your family, who it sounds like your kids are adults now, when they have a different opinion?
That their thinking is screwed.
Their thinking is what?
Screwed. Screwed. Not well.
Yeah.
They're not using they don't have their thinking cap on.
Yes.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Because they don't listen to objective facts.
Okay.
Okay. And what about your husband?
No, he won't listen at all to anything. He'll just shut me down the minute I start talking.
So some of the resistance with your family may be that you are not open to different thoughts and views. Right?
Yeah,
that you
I
see
my
them
thoughts as
you see
objective.
them as wrong.
So Lisa, I want you to think about this. I want to introduce something to you, and I want to try to make it as accessible as possible. And that is, different equals different. Different does not equal threat. Different doesn't equal bad. You can be different and be completely loved. Somebody else can be different and completely loved. And so if I'm bringing information to you and I feel like you're going to criticize me, and that's been a pattern, eventually it's like, I'm not going to bring information to you if I feel like I'm going to get beat up or put down. So eventually I'm just going to stop.
Right.
And so
right.
the what I want you to be able to work on is this really important relational attribute called acceptance.
And it's
You
really
want me to work on acceptance?
Yes. It's really hard too for moms, because your kid's whole life, and even with husbands, you are probably the one that's had to orchestrate a lot of things and be in charge and guide them. And now you're at a point where you don't really need to do that anymore, and it's hard to switch gears. It's hard to shift and to accept that they are developing in the way they are and the way they're choosing.
I'm thinking Take Your Life Back Again. Does that sound like
Sounds
the book
good.
for
Yeah.
Lisa? Lisa, that book will be coming your way. And sorry for what you're going through. Hope you got some good points here from Chris and Jill, and it will make a difference. We're here another hour, so keep the calls coming. We have a pretty full board, but there's another slot or two open. Thanks.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. The New Life Every Man's Battle online workshop can help.
After 7 years, he just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
The Every Man's Battle workshop is being held online as a one-day event Saturday, August 7th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com. 1-800-NEWLIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in the biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. Before we go to calls, I want to read you a testimony from Every Man's Battle recently. And this was a man that went, actually a couple of years ago, and he said, I was kind of skeptical at first, meeting other guys in a large group. But after the first session, I began to loosen up, so I started to engage and meet and greet other men. When we entered into small groups, that's when things got real. Telling your story, getting to the core of issues I was dealing with, very emotional. But after that first session, I was pleased and more at ease with myself and ready for the healing process to begin. Very pleased to have been able to attend this workshop. Very big step. Thanks for the staff and the new group of men in which I pray and hope to continue the battle with and see it through. Guys, that's what happens at Every Man's Battle. You feel supported. You don't feel lonely anymore. You find out that the way to beat this thing is to get out of your isolation, re-engage with God, all this good stuff. And you've been waiting and hesitating to do this. And you don't have to wait and hesitate anymore. It's coming this Saturday, one day online. It's a full day, but it'll go really quickly. It can't encourage you enough to join in with us. So give us a call at 800-NEW-LIFE. And if you're thinking of giving to a ministry, this is the ministry to give to. I can't impress upon you enough. New Life meets people where they're hurting. It's where the rubber meets the road. We say we're the dirty jobs of ministry, because most ministries don't want to talk about this yucky stuff, but we do, and we're willing to face it head on. So thanks for supporting us.
Well, we hear the term often, the devil is in the details. And I say, well, if the devil's in the details, so is God. And so
in a bigger way.
In a much bigger way,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so what New Life allows people to do is get into the details. And I oftentimes say this, before I get into my own recovery, I was a general sinner, right, with general sin. So I got a general savior and general salvation. But when I got into recovery and started the personal work, I became a very specific sinner. with a very specific sin that had specific consequences. And it's in those details that I found God starting to work in much, much deeper ways to give me a more specific redemption through those issues. And so New Life is allowing you a safe place and the resources to get into the specific areas of your life that keep you stuck and move on.
That's what I meant to say. Thank you, Chris. And when you call and give support, ask about Club New Life. It's a monthly giving program. We need more folks to sign into that. So thank you much. We're going to go talk to Mary. Tillamook, Oregon, listens to our podcast. Hi, Mary. How can we help you?
Hi. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I have a question. I listen to you, and I am signed up for the 14th for the Emotional Freedom Workshop, and looking forward to that. Yeah.
Great.
But I sick, and I believe that it doesn't stick because it's really not tackling the real problem deep inside. And so I'm open to going back to counseling, but I need to kind of know what I should be looking for in a counselor. I don't think it's just most of the counselors, and I think there's obviously a place for this, the cognitive, tackling the cognitive thing and the way you think. And I know that's important, but I think this is kind of more of an emotional thing.
Yeah.
And I have seen, I have done a little bit of the EMDR, and that hasn't seemed to do anything either. I know of a person who's doing brain spotting, which I'd never heard of, but it does seem to be helping her. So I need some advice.
You just want to know how to find a counselor? Is that your biggest question?
Well, what to look for and what to ask about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think one thing is to present the issues and also to tell the person your journey.
Yeah.
What I always like to know what hasn't worked, because I don't want to repeat that.
Yeah.
Right? Now, in terms of cognitive behavioral therapy, all therapists utilize some of those techniques, but not all therapists only use those techniques, right? And so you want a therapist that comes from a different orientation, one that will work with perhaps your childhood stuff. Psychodynamic issues is typically kind of more my angle on things. And so I think it's asking the questions. Tell them what hasn't worked for you. And do they feel comfortable working with you in the area you want to grow in?
And Mary, I would say that the reason why cognitive behavioral therapy isn't working because your problem is not in your head. We store our historical pains and hurts and fears in our body, and so most of what you're experiencing is below your chin. I oftentimes say this in my own practice, is that 80% of my work is below the chin. It's in the body, because that's where we get hung up. Because you're smart and you're insightful, and if changing your mind would have worked, it would have already worked. But it's changing those core experiences, and you already intuited that really well as far as like, hey man, I'm emotionally, something's wrong. So I'm known as this weird brand of therapist called an experiential therapist. And what I do is I help people take their internal suffering, their pain and their hurts and their hang-ups, and show it in real time, and then be able to work through that in their body. And they find relief, but most importantly, they find that they've been living underneath the trauma or their pain, and they find a way to live with it. Not in a way that's suffering, but in a way that it no longer controls their life, and that they get to have control over it. So you want to look for someone who can work in the body, and, and like you said, brain spotting, EMDR, somatic experiencing. There's a lot of these different techniques, but I would interview therapists and explain your situation and how they would work with you in that.
And talk to them about the process. As you venture in, it's collaborative work.
Yeah.
Right? So often I find people leave therapists and they've never talked to them about what was working and what wasn't. And what they needed. And you need to join. You don't check your brain at the door. You need to join with the therapist, and let's, chart a course that works.
Jill, I want to pause there, because that is such an important truth that really, really needs to be out there. It's like I tell my team, you work for the client doesn't work for you.
Right.
Right. And so it's important as clients, as people who are seeking therapy, that we can advocate for ourselves and let the process, let the person know, hey, here's what works, here's what doesn't work.
Or if you have a hard time doing that, to be able to say, I have a hard time speaking up.
Yes.
And saying what I'm feeling about things. Can you help me?
Mm-hmm.
And then the therapist knows where to meet you. Because therapists, we don't read minds.
Exactly.
We know a lot, but we don't read minds.
Mary, thank you for your call. I hope that's helped.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What should we send her?
Okay.
What should we
Sounded
send
like she
her?
had more to say.
The Emotional Freedom Workbook?
Yes,
Oh,
let's
very
do
good.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's coming your way, Mary. Thank you. I want to talk to Lauren on line 7. We can get her question in probably before the break. Hello, Lauren. You listen from Washington, D.C. on YouTube. Thank you for watching us.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes.
I am 59 years old, and I would like your advice because I don't know how to deal with my husband's disrespect towards me. We have been married for 32 years, and I hoped our relation will improve, but it hasn't. He really doesn't love me, and I'm very tired of this, and I don't know what to do. I would like to leave him, but I haven't done it because I believe a marriage is forever. And I didn't want my children to grow without his father, but now they are grown up. So this is, what bothers me to the core right now is that he openly does things to mortify me. He doesn't stop, but every day he makes something new. He makes something new, and whether I say or I don't say anything. So that is my situation.
Okay. Well, we're going to come back to you, hear the music right after the break, and get some good answers. And I want to remind everybody, if you're on hold right now, please keep holding. We're doing another program right after this, and we'll get to your calls in the next hour. If you want to call us, we're on here for one more hour, 800-229-3000. And just a reminder, we are doing Every Man's Battle this Saturday, and the following Saturday is Emotional Freedom Workshop. So consider those, and we'll come back and we'll help Lauren how to figure out how to help her marriage and how to deal with her husband's disrespect. So keep holding. We'll be back right after this. Thank you.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop. A lot of people are you could literally say, in bondage from past trauma that has created an emotional web that they don't understand, and it prevents them from being free. A person that loses their temper regularly is not emotionally free. Someone who has anxiety just to get in the car and leave the house is not emotionally free. And walking around with the shame from a childhood or even a bad relationship as an adult, that is not emotional freedom, and we can help you get there.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Online Workshop is Saturday, August 14th. Steve Arterburn and Chris Williams will present information on the power of our emotions, procrastination, guilt and shame, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or register online at newlife.com.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the New Life member thank you gift of the New Life Journal, 100 Days of Peace, 7 Ways to Choose Healing, Growth Has No Boundaries, a Restoration Bible, and a New Life grocery tote to hold it all. Plus, Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Okay, we're back. We're talking with Lauren, and Lauren is asking about what to do in her marriage. Her husband disrespects her, so take it away, gang.
So Lauren, what does the disrespect look like?
Well, he discounts anything I say. He mocks me. He insults me by saying very inappropriate things. He's a leader, and he has patience and wisdom to manage people's conflict at church, but at home, he doesn't even listen to me if I have a different opinion. So if I differ from him, he considers it a personal attack, and he will give me his back, will walk away even as I am speaking to him, and he will finish the conversation with me if I don't agree with his opinion.
Oh, wow.
So when I explain to him that he's intolerant, then he accuses me of being intolerant. And
so have you guys done any...
We are not talking.
Have you guys done any marital therapy, any counseling?
We did that for a month or so, but he was using it as a way of like vindicating himself. So it was not really helping us. He would go to the therapy just like to pretend, oh, this is what I'm going through, and she has a problem, and so
Lauren,
it really didn't help us.
Well, Lauren,
Yes.
but I'm hearing a month is not really a very long time, and sometimes things need to play out a bit. Often a therapist will see through that he's just trying to vindicate himself. He may need to air some of those things in order for the therapist then to work with the two of you and to bring it back around. Because it sounds like your husband is very easily injured. The fact that if you say anything, he feels, what word did you use? You're challenging him.
She discounts all I say.
Right.
Yeah.
Or somehow he feels threatened if you even ask him a question about things. And so I would be curious, does your husband expect you to have no opinions, to agree with whatever he says in order for him to feel like he's a leader in your home?
Well, he will mock me and will say that everybody he talks to understand him but me. So and he gets mad because he gets to wrong conclusions and assumptions about me. And if I tell him, hey, if you want to do something, let me know in advance, then he just takes it like, no, we cannot count with you, and we cannot talk about this with you because you are never available. So he's a church leader. So he knows better about dropping responsibilities. I don't receive any support I'm a teacher at church, and he teaches too.
Have you talked to your pastor?
I don't.
Have you talked to your pastor?
Well, we did that one time, and that turned into my worst decision because everybody knew about it. And when I look out for, advice in a pastor, because everybody knew about what was going on in our lives, then my husband, he never stopped since then to accuse me. You see, we got this because you opened your mouth. And this is your fault. You should never let any leader anything about our marriage. This is our private life. So I even got penalized for that.
Well, Lauren, you're in I would say, abusive situation because every relationship requires both people to have a voice, right? And he has shut down and even trying to steal and take away your voice. Out of his fear, out of his anger, out of his control, absolutely. And so you really are in a very, very tough situation. And I think it's time to pull out all the stops. And so I say, like, let's not jump to divorce right now. Let's see if we can work on this more. I would love for you guys to be able to get a little bit of time and be able to attend again the intimacy and marriage workshop, or get into some couples counseling. See if you can work through the How We Love material. But really, I think it is a place where you say, "Hey, you just simply haven't listened to me. My heart is hurting, and it's been hurting for a really long time. And until you can respect me and hear me, I'm going to have to separate."
Well, there needs to be room for you to be curious. There needs to be room for you to be able to think out loud and to have a conversation that's back and forth, not just a monologue from him.
Do you suspect in any way that he has an issue with porn?
No. Okay. He has been unfaithful several times at church.
And he's still in leadership?
He is still. But when that happened, we were at one place. When the infidelity happened, we moved to another place. And then he was having those encounters through the internet, pretending to be a single man when he wasn't. But all that passed a long time. But now, what really bothers me a lot is that he leaves things in the middle on the way of path. For example, he places small pieces of trash everywhere, strategically placed. He unhinged the
Lauren,
the nail.
Lauren, let me jump in. Okay, your husband carries a lot of issues, and we know that those issues are going to play out in a lot of different ways. But what you've already told us about his infidelity, and let me tell you, without a lot of work, that problem has not gone anywhere. It's still there. And so it's really important, again, the more you're telling us, the more our position would be, you've got to protect yourself here. You've got to provide some boundaries and separation from his dangerous and unhealthy behaviors.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes we have to do things differently to get someone's attention, not in an angry way, but what are all the things you do for him? Maybe you stop doing all of those things or some of those things until he's willing to get some help with you.
One of the ways he might, I don't know how he would ever agree to this, though. He needs every man's battle.
He does.
He absolutely does.
Yeah, without a doubt.
If you get to the point where there's a negotiation going on, that's something you may want to insist upon that he do for you to continue.
But Lauren, I think that you need to go and get in some therapy and get some help to kind of navigate this path, because this really sounds like an intolerable situation for you.
And I really think intimate deception would be helpful.
Yes,
because
let's send that.
That will help turn the lights on for her and see what she's really dealing with.
Great book. That book is coming your way, Lauren. Well, we're coming up at the end of this hour. We will take your calls for those of you that are holding next hour. There's still a couple of open lines. Call us at 800-229-3000 if you'd like to come on and talk to Chris and Jill about some things. I just want to close with one of my favorite Bible verses. I've closed with this before. Yet this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. The steadfast love of God never fails. His mercies are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. We want to spread that news. We want you to experience that. It's what God has in store for you. And so please lean into that. Lean into God. Lean into the Holy Spirit. We see him do amazing work through New Life. He gets the glory and the honor for all the work. We just set the stage for him to come and move in. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow, and we'll see you then. Thanks.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.